6 words. That is the entire premise of this video. 6 words that, when said correctly, not recited, not performed, but actually said correctly, will change the way any woman experiences your presence. And before you decide this is going to be some rehearsed pickup line or some manipulation tactic you saw on a forum somewhere, stay with me. Because what these 6 words actually are and why they work is going to tell you something about yourself that no dating advice video has ever told you. I need to say something uncomfortable first. Most men are terrible at talking to women, not because they say the wrong things, because they say things for the wrong reason. Every sentence they produce is quietly engineered to get a reaction, to get approval, to get validation that they are enough. And women feel that. They feel it immediately. It is like a vibration that comes off a man before he even opens his mouth. And the moment she feels it, something in her disengages. Not because she is cruel, because she is human. And humans are wired to move towards security and away from desperation. If you want to understand what actually moves a woman, first understand what repels her. And the honest answer is this: performance repels her. The man who is working too hard to be liked is already unlikable, not because he is a bad person, because he has lost himself somewhere in his need to be chosen. If that hits somewhere real for you, this is the channel you need to be watching consistently. Subscribe, not because I need the number, but because if you are serious about building yourself into the kind of man who does not need tactics, the kind of man who is just genuinely compelling, then this content exists for that journey. Subscribe and stay. Now, here is what this is really about. The 6 words are not magic. There is no magic. The words work because of what they require from you in order to say them correctly. And what they require is the single quality that makes any man genuinely attractive, regardless of his looks, his bank account, or his age. That quality is presence. Real, unhurried, unperforming, fully inhabited presence. The 6 words are, tell me more about that. 6 words. Simple, unremarkable on the surface, and completely devastating in the right hands. Here is why. Most men in a conversation with a woman they are attracted to are not actually in the conversation. They are in their head. They are rehearsing their next sentence while she is still finishing hers. They are cataloging everything they want her to know about them. They are calculating whether she likes them, whether it is going well, whether they should say something funnier or more impressive. They are somewhere between a job interview and a performance review, and she is just the audience. That is not connection. That is audition. And she knows the difference. When a man says, tell me more about that, and means it, something shifts entirely. He is no longer performing. He is listening. He is interested, not strategically interested, not interested because it is a tactic, but actually curious about the specific human being in front of him. And that quality of genuine attention is so rare that it registers as remarkable. Think about the last time someone made you feel truly heard. Not just waited for you to finish. Actually heard, held space for what you were saying like it genuinely mattered to them. Remember what that felt like. Remember how instantly you wanted to be around that person again. That feeling is what you create when you ask this question and you actually mean it. That is the mechanism. But here is where most men will fail with this. They will take those 6 words, they will write them on a mental note card, and they will deploy them like a line. They will say, tell me more about that, in the same hollow tone they use when they ask for extra napkins at a restaurant, and it will land completely flat. Because the words are not the point. The words are just the visible surface of something that has to be real underneath. And that something is a man who is genuinely secure enough not to need the conversation to be about him. That is the whole game right there. Secure enough not to need it to be about him. Let me show you what that man looks like in real life. He is not the loudest person in the room. He is not the one performing charisma. He does not have a rehearsed story he cycles through on every first date to appear interesting. He does not look at his phone when someone else is talking. When someone says something, he responds to what was actually said, not to the version of it he half heard while composing his response. He asks follow-up questions not because he read that it builds rapport, but because he is genuinely curious about people. He has a life that interests him, which means he is not dependent on any single interaction to feel alive. He can sit in a moment of silence without needing to fill it. He disagrees when he disagrees, kindly but clearly, because he is not trying to manage your impression of him. He is just there, fully, quietly, unmistakably present. That man is irresistible, not because he is not trying to be anything other than what he is. Now here is the cost of not understanding this. Men who rely on performance, who are always crafting the right version of themselves for whoever is watching, live in a particular kind of exhaustion. Every interaction is labor. Every silence is a threat. Every moment of perceived rejection is evidence that they are fundamentally not enough. They cycle through tactics because no tactic works long enough. They get a date, they perform through the date, and when something real is required of them, they have nothing because they have spent all their energy on surface management and none of it on actual depth. The relationship that forms, if one forms at all, is built between her and the performance, not her and the man, and eventually, inevitably, the performance cracks. That is not a dating problem. That is a self-knowledge problem. The real work is not learning what to say. The real work is becoming a man who has something real to say. A man who is curious enough to actually listen. A man who is secure enough to be direct. A man who values the truth of a conversation more than the impression it creates. Here is what you can do right now with this. In your very next conversation with anyone, not just a woman you are attracted to, commit to one thing. Ask one follow-up question to something they say, and then stop. Do not immediately redirect to yourself. Do not add your version of the story. Just let them continue. Hold the space. Be in it. Notice what comes up for you when you are not performing. Notice the discomfort of not redirecting attention to yourself. That discomfort is data. It is telling you exactly how much of your identity has been built on external validation rather than internal ground. Work on that ground. That is the real investment. Because here is the perspective shift that changes everything. You are not trying to attract women. You are trying to become a man who is genuinely worth attracting. Those sound similar, but they operate in completely opposite directions. One is outward manipulation. The other is inward construction. And only one of them produces anything lasting. Tell me more about that is 6 words that only work when you already are the man who does not need to be the most interesting thing in the room. They only work when you are curious rather than anxious. When you are grounded rather than grasping. When the silence after you say them is comfortable because you are comfortable. Because you are not waiting for her approval to decide whether this conversation was a success. The man who has done that work walks differently. Not with arrogance, with ease. There is a particular quality of relaxation in a man who has nothing to prove, and it is one of the most compelling things a human being can project. Women pick it up instantly. Men pick it up too. Everyone in the room can feel when someone is not performing, when someone is just genuinely, quietly, fully there. That is who you are building toward. Not a man with better lines. A man who does not need lines. You are not starting from zero. You are starting from exactly where you are with everything you have already been through, everything you already know, and everything you are still figuring out. That is more than enough material to build something real. The question is whether you are willing to do it honestly, without shortcuts, without tactics that treat women like obstacles to be navigated instead of people to be known. Own that willingness. It is the rarest thing in most men. And it is where everything begins. If this is the kind of conversation you want to keep having, if you want to keep building towards something real rather than performing your way through life, subscribe. This channel is for men who are done with the surface and ready to go deeper. That is the community here. And if that is you, stay. Tell me more about that. You will be surprised what you find when you actually mean it.